Realizing you've been lied to your whole life is a hard pill to swallow. Congratulations to anyone and everyone that has overcome the narrative. Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and today I'm going to go on a couple of tangents first and then we'll get into some Bitcoin stuff. I think if you're a bear, then you should be worried, and I will show you exactly why. First of all, let's open with a joke. The Chinese media have been blurring the spectators at the World Cup because they don't want other countries to realise that no one else wears the old face nappies anymore. So I thought that was quite funny. You can see all the crowd is blurred out. So I thought that was hilarious. If you don't know about Rumble, I'm over on Rumble too. You can catch me there. And one more tangent, I think. Maybe one or two more tangents before we move on. Look, I don't follow this guy, okay? I'm not following him, as you can see. And he just constantly shows up all over my feed. And I've even deselected, you know, you can do that thing where you like see fewer tweets. I've done that and he still just shows up all the time. If you want to know why I got beef with this man, so to speak, this is the reason. So you can go and see that video. In the meantime, it is finally time to remove this guy forever because I just can't stand seeing him anymore. So that's it. Elon's gone. Bitcoin, I think, is setting up to make every single bear cry. Did we just break 15.5k? So everyone thinks we're going to 10 and now we're going to liquidate them. Is that possible? Looking at this, we're still kind of net sideways. We have technically got a failed cycle on a wick, although that could have just been a sweep to take the stops potentially. But I just want to caution against being really bearish, because people that are playing for a few K down here are really underestimating Bitcoin's ability to do something like this, okay? This would not surprise me at all. We've basically seen this in gold fairly recently, okay? We sort of broke this big level, we chopped around for a while, and then we just exploded to the upside. So do not underestimate Bitcoin's ability to do this, and even to do this twice over, okay? I would absolutely not be surprised if we woke up in a week's time and this was what the chart looked like. Now, I know many of you think this is absolutely ludicrous. I know many of you think this can't happen. There's contagion. There's a million reasons to be bearish. But remember, markets always move to hurt the most amount of people. Everyone's going to be really happy if they get to buy 10, 12, 14k Bitcoin. I have plenty of data that I'm about to show you, plenty of examples. Banks are stepping in here, central banks are stepping in here, okay? The idea that we're going to 10k, I think, may be quite a dangerous one to hold. Anyway, let's get into this. Let me show you this. Look, the bear market is setting many up for life. We've got wallet addresses holding 1 Bitcoin, whole coiners at an all-time high. Over in Texas, the mining industry is generating enormous benefits, and they've issued a Bitcoin report that shows the government are holding Bitcoin. Okay, so the government are holding Bitcoin down at these levels. They are protecting self-custody. There are tax breaks for Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin education is coming in schools. Okay, think about that. So this thing is not going away. And whilst you may be selling, waiting for 10 or 12 or 14k, I would just caution against not averaging in here at least. Also, we have a Harvard paper telling central banks to buy Bitcoin. Do you see what is happening? We recently had BlackRock partner with Coinbase, remember, as well. The institutions are here. The institutions are playing games. The hash rate continues to make all-time highs, and therefore so does the difficulty. The Bitcoin network has never been more secure than it is today. Over in El Salvador, they've submitted a bill to enable the launch of Bitcoin volcano bonds. Again, do you see what is happening here? Adoption is out of control now. Adoption is built up so much momentum. The fundamentals have never ever been stronger, and yet everyone is bearish. Of course, everything always looks the bleakest right at the lows. And I'm not saying that we couldn't possibly go to 14k or 12k. I'm not saying that that's impossible. But what I am saying is, if you're dogmatic in your approach, if you're not willing to pivot on a dime, if you're not willing to shift your sentiment from bearish to bullish, or at least from bearish to neutral, very, very rapidly, then you could well get left behind. And do not think that these candles can't show up, because I copy and pasted them from back here, okay? So they absolutely could come up. In addition to the volcano bonds and Texas mining, we've also got ARK Invest looking to buy more Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and Coinbase shares. Again, I've got quite a bit to say here. There was rumors going around that Coinbase is insolvent. But remember, Coinbase is a public company that recently partnered with BlackRock. It's not going to go insolvent, okay? It's not going to. At the same time, the price action in Grayscale is looking interesting. I'll show you that in just a second. And a lot of people, they sort of sneer at Cathie Wood, like, well, Cathie Wood, you know, the ARK ETF fund did really bad. And here it is for you. Yeah, this is not a good look for an ETF, down at 78%. But what people tend to negate and forget about is that from its inception to the peak, it was up nearly 700%. Okay, it was up nearly 700% in 330 weeks or so. And so you can see here, what this tells me is two things. First of all, Cathie Wood, she might not be the best risk manager on the planet Earth, but she's certainly pretty good at looking for opportunities and finding good opportunities that produce massive returns, like this one that you can see now. It's also worth noting that whilst everyone focuses on the drawdown, it is a lot harder for massive funds of this size to offload positions. They're far less liquid than a retail trader is. That's one of the advantages retail does have, is that they trade such small position sizes they can jump in and out without pushing around the market. Cathie Wood is not scared at all. There are indeed plenty of reasons to be bearish. There's news like this all the time. Like UK restaurants are going bankrupt at a faster rate than they were during the C19 period. Okay, this sounds really bad, I agree. And there's plenty of bearish sentiment out there. Look at this, for example. Isn't it crazy that the S&P won't reach 4,000 for another 3 to 4 years? Well, it just did, okay? It just did. So this is my point, okay? Like, I don't know anything. I know that I don't know. But what I do know is you can't just have this bearish or bullish bias and not be willing to flip it. The technicals, particularly in the stock market, do not warrant being bearish at the moment. Look at the Dow Jones. Look at the Dow Jones. How can you be a stock market bear when this is the chart of the Dow? Okay, this is the S&P starting to press on towards new highs. Tech is indeed lagging. The FTSE 100 breaking out. And most importantly, is that a dead cat bounce from the dollar? Is that what we're seeing? Now, it's too early to tell yet, but if you are bearish, if you are one of these people that is 100% sure on your bearish convictions, then you are possibly setting yourself up to get wrecked, because this scenario I've been showing over and over again, this melt-up scenario, is becoming more validated by the day. If you're a bear here, then you are in a lot of trouble if this becomes validated. To support my bullishness at the moment, remember, I will pivot to bearish on a dime if need be. But to support my bullishness, which at the moment is being proven correct, the mainstream narrative, the mainstream media narrative is shifting. You can see here, whereas Bitcoin was created to be a censorship-resistant, trustless digital form of money, crypto has become a space dominated by get-rich-quick schemes. Whatever this crypto industry is, most Bitcoin and Bitcoiners want no part of it. We're starting to see this narrative unfold that crypto is a scam, that altcoins have got to go away, and that Bitcoin is the thing we need to focus on. Bitcoin is the one true decentralized, proven protocol. Any somewhat positive but clear resolution of the Genesis DCG digital currency group issue is very likely to mark the bear market end. The 4-year cycle low is due. I've been posting a countdown to bull market on this channel for the prior 2 months. This could well be it. I know a lot of people don't think this is the low, but this could well be the low. We may well have just entered a bull market. It just takes a while for it to unfold. No one has realized it yet. Bob thinks the build will be slow. I disagree. I think we're going to have this big blow off top. That remains to be seen. Look, over in Abu Dhabi, investors are meeting with Binance to raise cash for the industry recovery fund. Again, news like this, sentiment will shift on a dime. Do not underestimate Bitcoin's ability to blast higher over the following few days. Because think about it like this. We wake up one morning to a 5 or 10k candle and everyone thinks short, short, short. There's no way that's for real. This is manipulation. And then you wake up the following morning to all of those shorts get wrecked. Okay, this is not an impossible scenario. We've seen this over and over again. If you think this is impossible, you just haven't been in Bitcoin long enough. Overthinking is a fiat disease. Bitcoin has 100x upside, yet the fiat clowns will focus on the 1 times downside. You've got to break free from this fiat Ponzi and fiat mindset. 100x upside for Bitcoin. Bitcoin and Litecoin. Litecoin is telling us exactly what I've been telling you about these silly looking candles here. When we zoom in on this chart, you can see here the Litecoin chart in the blue. Litecoin leads with the pumps. Okay, Litecoin leads with the pumps. And now Litecoin is starting to lead before what I believe will be the pump. So maybe this time is different, or maybe not. Over in the equities, the blow off top into 2023 is already underway. This is the S&P 500. I've kind of already shown you some of these charts earlier on today. The UKX is breaking out. It's on its way to this final blow off move. The BDI is telling CPI and commodities to come down. And you can see that here. We're still expecting inflation to come off, remember. If inflation comes off and continues to come off, then we will see this melt up unfold. We will see this melt up continue to be validated. Junk bond spreads is a reliable indicator because most retail investors don't usually trade bonds directly. Narrower spreads means investors are taking more risk, expecting easier monetary conditions. This spread has been screaming risk on all the way back since September, and you can see that here. We also are looking to have just broken out of this bull flag for the S&P. The measured move is just over 4,300, a price target that I have been calling for weeks. When stocks above the 200 SMA bottoms, equities bottom, MACD is leading into positive territory. The bears are in a lot of trouble. And so you can see here, none of this looks bearish. Yes, I understand there are plenty of narratives. There are plenty of bearish narratives for which all sound like the end of the world is going to occur. But you must focus on the technicals. We must focus on the charts. And the charts are telling us that we're going higher, not lower. At the same time, the DAX just broke out to new highs and the Dixie has just begun its next leg down. Are you seeing the pattern here? Where is the bearish narrative? I understand the bearish narrative is in the media, but where is it from a real world, what's happening now, looking at price perspective? There is no bearish narrative. The only bearishness that exists is in crypto. But like I said, you wait until one of these 10K candles shows up and all of these bears are going to cry. The US consumers just won't give up. And you can see this here. The US consumer reliance on credit card and debt is absolutely through the roof. If you're watching this sort of content, if you're in this sort of space, if you have enough spare cash to invest, if you have Bitcoin and gold and silver exposure, then you're incredibly lucky because this is the reality for the majority of people. The majority of people are becoming more and more indebted every single day of the week. The momentum in the 2-year Treasury yield is looking weak. Are we completing a breakdown, back test and resumption off? Certainly one possibility. Remember, we've got the Fed minutes today. It's important to see what they're saying. Let's get into some charts. Look, is this the dead cat? Is this the dead cat bounce I was talking about? Are we about to do something like that? Rollover, is risk about to come on massively? Or are we going to hear some bad, horrible, hawkish words from the Fed? And is the dollar going to do something like this? In which case, we could be entering a risk-off period. It's important to keep an eye on it, but everything at the moment is telling us to be open to upside in risk assets. Looking at the 10-year yield looks much more like a rollover, doesn't it? Speaks much more to a dead cat bounce than it does to a move higher. Doesn't mean it couldn't move higher, but it hasn't moved higher yet. Same is kind of true of the 2-year yield. Are we about to complete this head and shoulders pattern, which I'm not usually a fan of? Are we about to complete that, or are we about to move higher? Again, it remains to be seen. We'll have to focus on what the Fed says today. Quickly burning through the rest of these charts, I did say a back test of this red line would be more than expected, and I think Geo will continue to move higher from here. Looks to me like the possible making of a Wyckoff spring. Over on Bitcoin, technically we did pierce this low, so this is technically a failed cycle, but if it is just going to blast out of here, if we're going to do something like that, then confirmation of the spring again comes above this blue line here, this low at 17.6-ish. Once that's happened, I start to get interested in longs for Ethereum. XRP, I'm still watching. We're still hanging out in this area. I want to add this position back on a break above this red line here. I will make sure I update you if I do. MATIC, continuing to basically do a whole lot of nothing, despite a lot of chop. So long and strong, continue to push. I'm noticing Zcash catching a little pump. So I've tucked some of this away. I haven't actually got this long from a trade point of view. I haven't called this out for a trade yet. I haven't gone publicly long from a trade yet, although I have publicly put some of this away on a cold wallet. So is this giving us hints as to what could be about to happen for Bitcoin? Quite possibly. The same is true of Litecoin. So again, I really want to see Bitcoin recover this low at 17.6 before I can be confident about adding a big trade here for Zcash. But if Zcash can make it back up into this $50 range, then I will add a trade there and put the stop below here, something like that. So that's my plan for Zcash. Like I said, I've got some tucked away in case they outlaw it and they don't want me to have it, which it seems they don't. Gold, still holding this gold short. No reason to close it as of yet, so keep an eye on that. If the dollar really has dead cat bounce, then you'd expect this to come out of here pretty rapidly. I am currently long silver for what it's worth, so there's my long silver trade. That one was added yesterday on the breakout of this white line, although it did close back below later in the evening, but seems to be working on a breakout here. So long and strong, continue to push. Worth taking a look at the miners. The miners are kind of indicating that they want higher. The same is true of the junior miners and the silver miners. So all of these are kind of speaking to a lower dollar and higher metals prices. That remains to be seen. the spot price not yet caught up with it, so we'll see how that goes. Apple still hanging around break even in the longer term account, so not much to say about that. Tesla, I think we're out. We're waiting for another entry, something like that, if it can happen. Wouldn't be surprised to see it go a lot lower from here though. MATIC, Riot, still being patient, still waiting for Bitcoin to recover its spring. MicroStrategy and Coinbase, you know the deal. Waiting to see if Bitcoin can recover its spring also. The UKX, again, this is what I mean by how can you be bearish? I mean, what about this is bearish? What about this is bearish? It's about to have an attack on its all-time high, on its prior all-time high. It's only about 100, 200 points off of the all-time high. This is, you know, this is not exactly a bearish look. The VIX, again, still well contained under this level, still not even thinking about breaking out. Very hard to be bearish for me. The Dow Jones, hard for me to be bearish. NASDAQ, back above the green line, let's go. So I would think it can gain 1,000 to 2,000 points pretty rapidly here, so long as the Fed doesn't come in and kill the party today. And the S&P 500, I would think, can make its way up to 41, 42, 4,300, as I've been saying over and over and over again. So that is the analysis for the day. If you're a bear, I really think you ought to be reevaluating your situation. If we start to lose major levels, if we start to roll over, then I will change from bullish to bearish. But at the moment, I've been right so far. The charts do not warrant being bearish, in my opinion, despite the many, many, many reasons to be in the media and with an absolutely appalling economic backdrop. If you found value here today, I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like on the video and subscribe if you're not already. Turn those notifications on if you want to see how I deal with these markets in real time as a pro swing trader. In the meantime, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.